Right, back live with you tonight here on In Focus. A report by the acting public protector, Gcaleka, has found that President Cyril Ramaphosa did not violate the executive ethics code in relation to the Phala Phala theft. ActionSA says it plans to challenge the report in court, adding that the president has serious questions to answer for possibly breaking the law. Here's ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba joins us now for more on this. It seems there's a degree of duplication. If you're going to challenge it, the DA is going to challenge it, the ATM is going to challenge it. Wouldn't it be better if you joined your forces and formed one strong case?
Yes, good evening, Thabo, and thank you very much for this opportunity. Without any doubt, Thabo, that's really something. Actually, earlier on I was having discussions with our legal team to see if we can talk to other political parties that are interested in this matter, particularly political parties that are already represented in Parliament. As you are aware, ActionSA is not yet in Parliament, but we will be next year this time, big time in Parliament. So our view and my own personal view, my recommendation to our legal team is to make contact with other political parties that have already indicated the interest to take this matter on review, that we join forces, we go as one force. It'll be, obviously, economically, it'll make sense, but at the same time, it'll give a message to anyone violating the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa that this country, South Africa, is not going to be like other countries where we sit back when people actually assemble our Constitution.
So there are a number of people who have been investigated here. The President, the National Commissioner of South African Police, the former National Commissioner, and the former Special Advisor to the President, and the head of the Presidential Protection Services, and an official of the Presidential Protection Services. So number of people, and there are findings on all those people. Which parts are you challenging as far as those findings are concerned?
Well, I think, from ActionSA legal team, two issues that are contested, they feel without any doubt the public protector's report is actually flawed. Firstly, for her to fail that the president it's not her fault by not reporting this matter to law enforcement agencies. Our legal people totally disagree with it. And I think it's not just really legal people, even ordinary laymen like myself, we feel, there's just no way, Thabo, that $1 million can grow in mattresses and couches in the president's house without knowing where the money came from. No declaration with the Reserve Bank how this money came into the country. We cannot accept that the president can claim innocent in this matter. Secondly, the public protector saying that the president did not violate the executive code of conduct. I think she relied only by talking to the president's not obviously take other matters into consideration. This, we're talking about the President of the Republic of South Africa. We're not talking about an ordinary criminal who obviously the nature is criminality. Here we're talking about someone supposed to be protecting the Constitution of the Republic. Everything that you do, you make sure that there are ethics behind it. So to really claim that you did not really violate the executive code of conduct by the public protector, we find this to be flawed. We find this to really be unacceptable. We find it to really be an insult to our intelligence as South Africans, and ultimately a violation of the Constitution of the Republic. This is an institution, a Chapter 9 institution, tasked constitutionally to protect the Constitution of the Republic and ensure that all of us as South Africans, the President, ordinary South Africans, everyone must be able to obviously face the wrath of our laws in the event of any violation. So that's why we really feel really very sad and really quite concerning. And yeah, we will be engaging other political parties in days to come. Our head of our legal team is currently overseas. We speak over the phone, but upon her return, Advocate Gillian Benson will obviously make contact with other political parties that have already announced their intention to take this matter on review.
So, issues are around conflict of interest, around paid work, right? This is what the public protector says. Having assessed the definition or meaning of paid work or remunerated work, it is prudent to state that the applicable sources in the main refer to the employees in the employ of the state rather than specifically to members of the executive. However, for the purposes of this investigation and determining the ordinary meaning of the relevant statutory provisions, these guidelines serve as the only source of interpretation of the concept of paid work or remunerated work. But objectively speaking, she says that paid work is not what the president was engaged in, but the president has got financial interests. How are you interpreting what she's saying there?
It's actually quite sad for someone who studied law to interpret the law in this fashion, because law sometimes it requires just real common sense. Common sense, like people like us, where obviously when someone has broken the law, you don't really need to really be a lawyer to realize that this person has committed law. Here's the president with money under US dollars under mattresses. Even if he had rents or in such volume, it would have really been against the laws of the Republic of South Africa, because we do have banks. People are supposed to put money in the banks, and all transactions are accordingly recorded. Here's the president who puts money under mattresses and couches. They are in US dollars in such huge volumes. Not declared with the Reserve Bank how this money came into the country, not pay taxes with the South African Revenue Services, and we are being told by a Chapter 9 institution that there's no conflict of interest. I think honestly it is bizarre. It is totally unacceptable, and our courts, or when we take this matter on review, will make the determination. As you are aware, Thabo, remember immediately after this, the president himself had a panel that obviously came out with a recommendation that the president might have committed offense and needed to take this matter to court. To Parliament. Unfortunately, because of the ANC majority, which is the last majority that they'll ever see in Parliament, protected the president like they did with Jacob Zuma. So it looks like the only way that South Africa is going to be saved from the ANC to ensure that we bring back the rule of law in our country, South Africans need to honestly remove the ANC from government and put a multi-party government, because honestly one-party dominance is not good for our country. We suffered many years under the National Party, one government from 1948. Now we've another 29 years of ANC dominance. That's making us South Africans poorer, making us vulnerable. For just to divert a little bit, just a few hours, about an hour ago, I see on national television incident of VIP protection, just beating up ordinary motorists in a manner that is so criminal, so violent. And these are people who are supposed to be protecting this nation. That you can see now, these politicians are drunk from power, and the only way we can save ourselves from them is to democratically remove them from power come 2024.
Now, from what it seems, by the way, we are going to look at that story in a little bit more detail as well on our side, because we've gotten wind of that particular video and that particular incident of the VIP protection unit. But back to our conversation. On this question of this money and the declaration of this money, the public protector seemed to suggest that she did ask SARS to furnish her with the outcome of their investigation, and this investigation matter is still ongoing, and so no information at that particular point was given to her. And so she's saying, for clarity, these are the institutions would need to then carry out that particular investigation, as a matter of fact?
Look, Thabo, as a taxpayer in this country for close to 40 years, no ways anyone can claim to be paying taxes on cash hidden under mattresses and in couches. There's just no way. So you don't have to really be a rocket scientist or a legal person or a financial person to actually understand such dynamics. People who launder money, people who keep cash, are those who actually avoid to pay taxes on their money, because when your money is in the bank, then your money is obviously exposed to our tax revenue officials. So for that reason, this is a clear case of money laundering. The president was doing everything possible not to pay taxes on this money. And it's really very sad to really have a president of the country who's a billionaire still trying to really not really pay taxes in a country where 54% of our people live below the bread line. He is still trying to not really pay taxes on money that is actually laundered. Honestly, that is unacceptable. Then why did if the public protector feels that she's still waiting for the report from revenue services, why then release a statement? Then rather should have just already waited. This matter has been going on for years. Why then rush to even go to an extent of saying that the president did not find anything wrong with what the president has done? I think this is really it's a contradiction of the facts. So if you don't have your facts right, then rather keep quiet and really delay the matter. But please don't really insult our intelligence.
But this is taxpayer information, according to Edward Kieswetter, which at this particular point, according to law, generally prohibits SARS from disclosing taxpayer information to any person. So even if the public protector would have wanted that information, she was not going to be able to get that information. So isn't it prudent for us to wait for the correct institution to release information on its investigation if the law allows it to do so?
That is why, Thabo, I'm saying is, why is the public protector rushing to clear the president before having full information about this particular matter? How do you pay taxes in cash? Tell me, Thabo, have you seen anyone paying cash to revenue services, not under this new dispensation? Probably that happened before I was born, people paying hard cash in taxes. You don't go to revenue offices to pay your taxes. So if the president was not avoiding to pay tax, this money should have come through the country legally through the Reserve Bank. The president should have paid taxes on this money. So these are issues that I'm saying is, I feel the public protector is actually contradicting herself, making such statements that she was not aware of tax implications of this case. One thing, Thabo, I can tell you is going to really come out when this matter is taken on review. President Cyril Ramaphosa was laundering money, was not going to pay taxes for this money because this money was brought into the country illegally. This affects whether anybody likes it or not. This money was not brought in South Africa legally, because if it was brought in legally, it would have come through the Reserve Bank and declared accordingly.
Mr. Mashaba, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on tonight. That's Herman Mashaba there, possibly talking to other parties as well and getting some legal advice on how to proceed as far as this matter of the Public Protector report is concerned, but certainly looking at challenging the outcomes of this report.